It's really a pleasure being here and speaking to everyone about the priorities that we have as a group for sexual and reproductive health and rights. The reality is that women and girls, human rights include the right to health, and it's critical for sustainable development. And sexual and reproductive health and rights is a fundamental human right that has been recognized in the various different instruments, including the past MDGs, which was over 5. Now, the reality is that we have made some progress in terms of MDG 5B. However, as we know, a lot of countries have not made enough progress, and we really need to go back and do a lot more. So you can categorize MDG 5B as unfinished business. Now, the reality is, and I shared this story I think earlier on in the week, about the realities of this. I know people hear of different stories, but when these stories get closer to home, we know that we have a challenge. I work in Nigeria with young people, but I have, in the course of my work, come in contact with people that have lost either their mothers or their sisters as a result of maternal health challenges. My colleague David lost his mom a couple of months ago, and he is now responsible for taking care of 7 children. She lost her life while giving birth to the 7th child, which she did not want to have, but could not actually access family planning services at the time and in the environment that she needed to get. The reality here is that we need to really look backwards and look at what are some of the challenges that we faced in the previous MDGs for us to be able to bring about solutions for us to move forward. And some of those challenges, for me, is looking at the way that it's been implemented in country. The siloed approach to implementing programs relating to sexual and reproductive health and rights hasn't really helped us, where a woman can't go into a health facility and receive all the comprehensive services that she needs to get. The other thing is that SRHR had been limited primarily to a health approach, a health sector-driven process, and thereby didn't really necessarily address all the differences and the needs of women across the entire life cycle. And it also didn't address the social, economic, and cultural issues that enable women and young girls to be able to access services, access information, and to be able to exercise their rights. Now, in moving forward, I think it's really important for us to make specific recommendations and targets around SRHR that include the following. 1, eliminating all forms of punitive laws that criminalizes same-sex relationships, criminalizes sex work, and other aspects of people's lives. The second thing is we need to remove all barriers by putting in place policies and laws that eliminate barriers for women and girls to access services. This includes things like parental consent, spousal consent in accessing services, because these are huge limitations to women and girls exercising their rights. We also need to ensure that comprehensive sexuality education is available in and out of school for all young people to be able to make right, responsible, and informed decisions about their sexuality. And then we need to ensure that the services that are being delivered are provided not just only in a comprehensive manner, but in an integrated manner, where a woman can go to a facility and receive all the services that she requires, all in one place, versus going to different points to receive it. But on the issue of services as well, I think it's really important for us to still strengthen the call for ensuring that women have access to HIV prevention, care, and treatment services. This is an issue that's big for us in the African continent, and I do not want us to forget it as we're discussing. I see that it didn't really come out in the entire discussions we've been having between yesterday and today, and that really saddens me. And finally, we need to also ensure that SRHR services are also integrated and provided in conflict and post-conflict settings to ensure that we address the issues related to gender-based violence and its consequences. Beyond this, I think it's also really important for us to have SRHR as a target under the gender equality goal, but I would also love to see it as a target under the health goal. And there are basically two reasons for making this particular recommendation. The first being that having SRHR only as a health issue doesn't really allow us to address some of the social cultural nuances, the social determinants of health that limit women and girls from accessing these services. But having it under gender equality will enable us to achieve that. But still having it under health will allow us to strengthen the health system to better deliver services that are responsive to the needs of women and girls. I thank you for listening to me. The reality is that I cannot imagine a post-2015 development agenda without sexual and reproductive health and rights. And the reality is that we as women are not willing to sacrifice any component of that. And we're definitely not willing to compromise the rights aspect of that. Thank you.